Right, let's do some audio test.
And good afternoon, welcome to my latest ridiculous car purchase. And why should I have bought this one? I don't know. Jason doesn't know and I don't know. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, we've been doing these regular videos from the auction at Charterhouse, and there's been cars and bikes, and you look at it in hindsight and you think, there's got to be something in there that I could have treated myself to. There's got to be a bargain somewhere. And eventually it's happened, and I now own this MG Midget, which someone in the past has spent an absolute fortune on. But for the full story, let's jump back to the auction to when I first saw this car. Well, if I was a proper YouTuber, I might say this is a bonus video, but I've come to a car auction and I've found something I really like, and I think I might put a bid in for it. So join me as Richard Bromwell, the auctioneer here at Charterhouse. He's going to talk me through it and maybe I'll put a bid in. A staple of the car show circuit, MG Midget, and this is lot 53, guided at just £3,000 to £4,000, and I say just because this car was purchased by the current owners back in 2007, so they've had it 17 years, and in 2015 they spent £11,000 on a restoration, and since then it's only done 3,000 miles. Now, just between us, I'm having a bit of a serious think about this one. It looks really tidy. It does, you know, all the bits that normally make you nervous don't. Interior looks really nice, so we might have a cheeky bid on this one. We'll see how far it goes. I've had a look round at the cars in the auction, and the one that's caught my eyes, sort of the most potential, is this MG Midget. And I thought, I need an expert to help me out. So I've got Richard Bromwell, who's the auctioneer, who's going to say whether or not I've chosen well for like a small budget, a classic, something that's not going to give me too much hassle. Am I looking in the right place?
Absolutely. I think, you know, you've hit the nail on the head there. Reasonably basic mechanics, you know, if you're half handy with the spanner, there's no ports to plug your computer in to find out what is wrong with it.
My kind of car.
It's an MG. You know, what is not to like about MGs? Yeah. Well, maybe the new ones which are made in China, but we're not going to talk about
but MG,
this is a quintessential English sports car. It's got rubber bumpers. I've got no problem. I've got no problem with rubber bumpers. I'd rather see a rubber bumper than someone who's bought a rubber bumper and has changed it to chrome. Don't spend the money on the kit. Just buy yourself a chrome one to begin with. What is great about this car is that it's actually, for us, unusual. It's quite a local car. We do travel far and wide, but it's quite a local car. They bought the car, then they had the idea of having it restored. So they went to a specialist MG person, and they spent, yes, £11,000 of their hard-earned money restoring it.
So when I was reading the description, I got to the £11,000 bit. I thought that's going to be outside of my budget because we all know I'm a bit frugal. But it's guided at 3 to 4.
Because that's actually what it's worth.
Okay.
Realistically. Now, when you're paying for mechanics, for parts and bits and pieces, for knowledge, for expertise, it does come at a price. Often we've seen it all with restoration projects before. What starts off as being, I'll do the wing, ends up being bare metal, repaint, complete restoration. They've enjoyed the car. They're of a reasonably senior age, and getting in and getting out is not easy for them. Personally, I find I fall into these little midgets and I have to crawl out. But that's just me.
Well, getting down to the dirty bit, and of course, I know you obviously want to sell everything for as much as you possibly can, because to keep you in the lifestyle you're accustomed to, I fully understand.
Or the wife and dogs, yes.
Yeah, I understand. What kind of strategy should I be looking at for bidding? Do I go early? Do I go late? What should I do?
With my auctioneer's hat on, if I ask for £4,000, you shout out 10.
Okay, that's not going to happen. So
that's not going to happen.
Bring me something more realistic.
Yeah, I think bidding at auction, you can play what I call the cool hand, Luke hand. You don't need to do that. You don't want to be a ninja right at the very last second, because you might be missed. You just want to sort of stand there. You can wait for the bidding to finish and they can sort of go like that. And do you know what? One bid quite often one bid with a hand going up takes it. Who knows?
Because I think the comment I've heard from various auctioneers is it's not eBay. It's not that case of trying to get in with 2 seconds to go.
You snooze, you will lose. And I have seen it time and time again. You know, we on the roster, we're up high, we're looking down, we've got internet portals with people bidding, we've got phone bidders, and we've got people bidding in the room. So if you hide behind a Range Rover, I'm not going to see you. So put yourself somewhere nice and plain where I can see you, and when you're ready, and if the bidding is right and comfortable, just give us a wave.
Well, I'm going to take on board that advice, and let's go and see what happens when it went to auction and whether I bottled it or if I bought it. Let's find out.
Lot number 53 now is the 1978 the MG Midget 1500, and purchased in 2007 from Mike Roll Services, and subsequently the family has spent £11,000 on restoration work in about 2015 and under 3,000 miles since then, for sale due to lack of use and a little bit difficult getting in and out. Lot number 53 now is the 1978 the MG Midget, beautifully restored. And where do you want to start? You want to start me at 3,000, at 3,000, at 3,000, 2,000 in wait, 2,000 is bid, thank you. At £2,000 I have bid now, at 2,000, at £2,000 at 2,2, 2,4, 2,6, at 2,6 I have now, at £2,600 and away now, at £2,600 and away now. At £2,600, they spent £11,000 on it, well presented here, at £2,600 and away now. I'm at £2,600 and away, fair warning, try again. I'll take 2,700 if it helps, you never know. Might tempt someone. £2,600 and away now. £2,600 and away, at £2,600, 2,700 is bid, at 2,007, at 2,007 I have now. At £2,700, 2,008 is the next bid if you want it. I'm at £2,700, he likes it, at £2,700 to be submitted as a provisional bid, which again I'm sure is going to go sailing through. At 2,700 provisional bid is 132, thank you.
Well, my heart rate has gone back to almost normal now. It was just after the auction, and I'm back here with Richard, and I own this.
You did. You went like that, and I went like that, and it was happy days.
I know, and it was just that one bid. I think from memory, you would have seen it in the video. I think it went. You started at 4 and to 3, and it went to 2, and it went up very quickly to 2.6. And I ummed and ahed, and my friend Dave, who's actually behind the camera, gave me a little nudge. He said, "Go on, go on," and I sort of.
Thanks, Dave.
And. Yeah, just one. You said earlier that one bid,
it was
mine.
It had slowed down, and my job as an auctioneer is to extract that last little bid from anyone, we don't mind who, and by just reducing the bid from a £200 increment to £100, you thought, well, actually, that makes sense. Yeah. And it did make sense, and you thought, great, Dave went like that, you went like that, and the bidding stopped, and happy days.
And just for those who didn't fully understand, it said at the time it was provisional.
Yep.
Because I think there was a 3,000 reserve,
yep,
but it got to 2.7. So what's the process that happens then?
So the process is we then phone the client, sort of say, hi, you know, we've got a bid of 2.7 on the car. What do you think? If they say yes, it's fine, we can go ahead and we sell it. If they say, ooh, have a chat, will you get another 50 quid or 100 quid or 5,000, whatever it is, then it's room for a little bit of wriggle room, really, a little bit of negotiation. Generally, I mean, the clients are lovely people. They've had their enjoyment, they've had their fun, they need to move on. They don't want it back, so. Yeah.
So, sounds like one of my bike sales.
Just like one of your bike sales.
I tend to be transacting. For those following the channel, I've sold a couple of bikes over the last few months through the auction, and you know, I've taken money off Richard, and now I'm giving money back to Richard. So
well, we're in the business just of recycling, whether it's cars or cash.
Yes, and mainly my cash at the moment.
Perfect. So that works well.
Well, I hope you really found that interesting. It's certainly been for us. And the next stage we're going to is we're going to have to go and pay for it, unfortunately, and get the keys, and then see how we get on from there. So this is now mine. We were hoping to video when I picked it up. Unfortunately, there were so many vehicle movements, either me or the camera were going to get run over. So we've decided to retreat to a friend of mine where we can have a little bit of a walk around it and see what I've got. So, as you know, hammer price was 2,700. With the fees, that came to 3,105. And I think I've got a bit of a bargain, because when I bought it, I got this big folder of receipts and history to the car, going back really to the early 90s, very late 80s. And within it, there are two really big bills. There was one in early 2015 where the rear spring hanger area was repaired. That was about £2,500. And then later that year, it had £11,500 spent on it. A lot of the work was towards the back here. Interior was stripped down, a lot of panels were replaced, the floor and so on. And then it's obviously had a full repaint. So someone has spent, just in that period, £14,000. I daren't add up all the rest of the invoices in there. There is a massive amount of money that's been spent on this car. And overall, to me, it looks in really good condition. The wheels probably could do with a refurb. A couple of the poppers at the side of the hood will lift the dot fasteners. They're starting to pull through. This boot rack's going to come off. You can probably see it's lifting the boot up. It's the brackets on it are a bit thick. It's a nice touch, but that's going to come off very, very quickly. Obviously, rubber bumpers generally is not most people's favourites, and in an ideal world I'll have a chrome bumper, but the conversion kit is really expensive, nearly as much as I pay for the car, and to be honest, it's not worth the investment. You know, this is a over 40-year-old car, so in the UK it doesn't need MOT annually, but it's probably still a good thing to do. The tax on it is free. I've already taxed it, didn't cost me a penny. And the other thing is insurance. I did that last night. £107, limited mileage, fully comprehensive. So what's not to like, really? We'll have a quick look under the bonnet. So there we have 1500 cc's of thumping British power, really. Engine bay could probably do a little bit of a tidy up. The inner wings are a bit dirty, and nice and polished around there I think would make a lot of difference. When we went to pick it up, it started on the keys straight off, and I've driven it straight home. Two things I'm getting used to: it's quite low geared, and also it's only 4 speeds, so I do keep trying to shove it into 5th. I'm sure I'll get over that, but it looks really tidy and honest, to be honest with you. Hasn't been mucked with. It does tick over a little bit high at the moment, so we're going to have a fiddle with it and see what happens with that. But otherwise, it seems really sound to me, which, you know, you do take a bit of a punt when you buy from auction, because you don't take it for a test drive. You've got to rely on the description and your own beliefs. But yeah, I think a bit of a clean up under there and it'll look really, really spiffing. Let's have a look inside. Right, let's have a look inside. It's quite compact. The seats, I believe, have been recovered, because I can't believe these are nearly, what, 50 years old. 77 car, so yeah, so 47 years old. These seats are in really nice condition, so I don't think they've been left original. I think they're replacement covers. Everything else looks very original. Look at this big old steering wheel with, you know, the really thin rim. Finding reverse was a bit of a challenge for me, because I've never had one of these, and apparently it's a cross, and then you pull the gear stick up and it clunks in. As I mentioned, there was only 4 forward gears. Fuel gauge seems to work. Temperature gauge, it was running possibly a little bit hot, but nothing to worry about. It was stable, so I didn't worry about it too much. But otherwise, what's to go wrong, really? There's so little in here, and it is in really nice condition. Well, I don't know what you think of my purchase, but to be honest, I'm really pleased. I haven't spent an awful lot of money for this, and I think I've got myself a really good, fun little classic. MOT exempt, tax-free, low classic insurance. What's not to like? What I'm going to do with it, not sure. Maybe we'll have some new adventures and we'll share them with you in the future. Well, that's gone wrong rather quickly. I'm about 10 or 11 miles from the place where we did the filming. Sorry, the M5's been shut today, and this is an alternative route I'm on, so it's a bit lively, shall we say.
And it started to misfire and then gradually got worse and eventually stopped. Actually stopped a little bit further down the hill, and I'm so grateful to the subscriber that stopped and actually gave me a push up the hill to here. And sorry, I forgot your name already, but I do hope you made it to your spin class. I've got an idea at the moment, but I'm not sure. This car hasn't been used a lot recently. I've got a funny suspicion there might be muck in the tank, and what's happened is driving it along has drawn that muck to the outlet and blocked it. It has tried to restart a couple of times, but hasn't quite fired up. So I've called recovery. It's a busy Friday night. They're going to be up to, let's say, a couple of hours, so we know what that can mean. So there we go. What can I say? Oh, just to add fuel to the fire, and I really don't make this stuff up, it just happens. The chap that gave me a lift out to pick up the car was following me back. He's disappeared. I've got a message from him, and I'll try and drop the picture, and his car's been hit by a dog. And I haven't got that the wrong way round, and for the animal lovers, the dog is fine. But I'll try and drop in the picture of the damage to his car. It looks more like it's been hit by a bloody pony than a... hit by a pony than a dog. You just can't make this stuff up. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving that subscribe button a bit of a whack. Thanks very much.
You're talking and getting in, so just say...
See, two at once, that's going to be a challenge, isn't it?